Hi, this is Aaron Wilson from KPRC2 Sports. As the Texans pivot from free agency toward the NFL draft, they are meeting with several top prospects. And we've had some videos and reports about Matthew Golden, which I reported last week, that he visited the Texans on Wednesday, the same day that they celebrated the 3-year, $90 million extension for Derek Stingley Jr. They're all pro corner. So what kind of matchups those would be in practice? That'd be a lot of fun to watch. Having one of the fastest players in the draft in Matthew Golden. We'll see, is he around for the 25th overall pick? Would they have to trade up for him? I think probably so. And the Texans aren't only focused on wide receivers that are first-round targets, including Emeka Egbuka, they have interest in as well, from Ohio State, who ran 4.4, mid-4.4s, ran fast enough that I think he's going to still be under consideration for their first-round draft pick. So they also have a visit with Washington State wide receiver Kyle Williams. And Kyle's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL draft after the catch. Very elusive, definitely a deep threat. Caught 14 touchdowns last season for the Cougs. And he's someone that you look at his ability to separate. He ran a 4.40 on the nose at the NFL Scouting Combine. And just an overall good athlete. UNLV transfer, and he had a 10-yard split of 1.55 seconds, so that's very quick to get off the football, to beat press coverage, 36.5-inch vertical leap. And so last year, 70 catches and 1,198 yards. So he set this single-season school record. And the Holiday Bowl, he got 10 passes for 172 yards. That's the bowl game record for receiving yards. Also had a touchdown. Had 61 catches for 843 yards and 6 touchdowns his first year at Washington State. And he finished his career with a lot of production at UNLV and Washington State combined, 248 catches, 3,608 yards, and 29 touchdowns. Like the ability to separate, like his ability to catch the football, still could add more polish as a route runner. But it just kind of shows you that there's layers and layers of players. You don't have to necessarily lock in on these guys that are going to go in the first 32 selections and might be available for the 25th overall pick of the draft. The Texans can look at receivers in the second round, third round, fourth round. Remember Nico Collins, who's now a Pro Bowl wide receiver playing under a 3-year, $75 million contract. He was a third-round draft pick from Michigan. So you can find players, you can find talent. Everyone will always repeat this one, but I like to say it again. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick from Michigan. I covered him in the Citrus Bowl, Michigan versus Arkansas. I was working at a small newspaper in Florida in the Orlando area at the time. And I met Tom. No idea that he would become the greatest quarterback in NFL history. So the Texans have a lot of things that I've seen with regards to the emphasis. And a lot of it has to do with speed. So they also are going to have a visit with Texas running back Jaydon Blue, who ran a 4.25 at his pro day. So he's going to visit his hometown Texans. He's a Klein Cain graduate, just like Matthew Golden. He's going to visit the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Denver Broncos. So Jaydon is a good pass catcher. He's good on returns, and he's a runner with good power for his size. And I don't necessarily know how early you would have to pick him, but he's someone that definitely was an interesting player, and he met formally with the Texans at the Combine, along with the Bills and the Green Bay Packers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers, so has had a lot of interest. And Jaydon Blue, local guy last year, 730 yards, rushing, 8 touchdowns, 42 catches, 368 yards, 6 touchdowns, so just an overall strong back. And remember, he was playing at one point behind Jonathan Brooks, and so a lot of talent in Austin. So he's not the only back there, but he distinguished himself this season, and a lot of teams are interested in Jaydon and looking to add speed to their backfield. So he's someone that is definitely interesting. And then the trend continues of speed backs with the Texans. And this is a converted wide receiver, Brashard Smith from SMU. He's going to visit the Texans, the Vikings, the Bears, and meet locally with the Dallas Cowboys. And so last season, he's all ACC first team, rushes for 1,332 yards, 14 touchdowns, also catches 39 passes, and has 4 scores. Never fumbled. Not the biggest back, but very fast. He's run 4.39, had a 1.58 10-yard split, and a 9.9 broad jump and a 32-inch vertical leap. So teams like his explosiveness, like the versatility, like the nose for the end zone, good moves, very elusive, and an interesting player that was a semifinalist for the Doak Walker Award. When he was at Miami, he was playing receiver. So having a player like that who can play receiver or running back, definitely attractive to the Texans and to a ton of teams that are interested in that style of back. And on the defensive side of the football, and this is someone I think is more of a day 3 target, Easton Mascarenas-Arnold, and he's an Oregon State transfer. He ran 4.54, but normally he runs under 4.5, wind-swept day, tough conditions for that pro day. But so a speed linebacker, and smaller at 5'11", 227, and he's run 4.4, like I said, in training. Heavily recruited out of high school, blue chip guy, and did some really good testing. 32-inch vertical, 4.28 short shuttle, 7.40 3-cone drill, 9.1 broad jump, some good strength in the weight room, 225-pound bench press, 25 reps. And he had 159 tackles, 13 for losses, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions in 37 games. And so he was playing for Oregon State previously. So last year, 95 tackles for the Trojans, and he had 5 for losses, 3 sacks, and 2 picks. So very productive linebacker, and they could use some linebackers. Christian Harris is heading into a contract year. You've got some changes here with the whole line in terms of the linebackers, I should say, with regards to is Christian Harris going to get his starting job back from Henry To'oto'o? Aziz Al-Shaair, that he's going to be around. He's team captain. He's under this big 3-year contract. So we'll see what they wind up doing. We've talked before about the Texans have a visit with Josh Connolly Jr., who's outstanding, did a great job against Abdul Carter, did struggle in the Senior Bowl against one of the best pass rushers, Mike Green from Marshall, but he can play tackle, he can play guard. He's not the only offensive tackle from the Senior Bowl the Texans have a visit with. They also have a visit with Charles Grant from William & Mary, great athlete, former wrestler, 5.05 40-yard dash. And so a lot of people are hot on Charles Grant. So he's got the Titans, the Ravens, the Texans, the Raiders, the Eagles, the Falcons, and the Bengals. He's got top 30 visits, plenty of action with him. So an interesting player. So we're going to see what happens with Charles Grant, but another offensive lineman they're meeting with. I was at the Rice Pro Day, and so the Texans, they had, they ran the workout. Tom Hayden, their college scouting coordinator, but the Texans, they're going to have in some of the players from Rice to their local prospect day. That's April 11th. Jaydon Blue visits the facility April 9th, and they're going to have in Josh Percy, who's an edge, had 3.5 sacks, New Jersey native. He's also in the Eagles local prospect day. They are going to have in, he was, by the way, a 3-time team captain. They're going to have in a corner and punt returner Sean Fresh. He ran a 4.40. He had a 41-inch vertical, 10.4 broad jump. He can play nickel. He can also return punts. He's also had some contact with the Raiders. Gabe Taylor, the little brother of the late, great Sean Taylor, he's going to be at the Miami Dolphins local day. He would have been invited to the Texans local day otherwise, but he had a conflict, so they couldn't have him in. And a couple other ones that I want to tell you about. I think you guys may have seen these late-night tweets from me. So David Gabinda from Katy Taylor High School, Texas Longhorns linebacker. So he's on the visit list too. I was trying to visit the local prospect day, and he had a 4.60, about 5'11", change, 235, 18 reps, productive linebacker. Another good offensive lineman, offensive guard Hayden Connor, who's a finalist for the Joe Moore Award, also Taylor High School. And he was very good in the drill, 6'6", 320, 5.18 40-yard dash, has worked at center, had meetings with the Texans, the Colts, the Jets, and the Cowboys. And so he's going to come to the Texans local day. And Gabinda, he's from Katy, but he's from Cinco Ranch High School. So they're going to have him in as well. And I expect some players from Lamar and Sam Houston State to be there as well. Both wide receivers expect to be at the local day, and some of the University of Houston players too. So Texans keeping it busy, and D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio, they doubled up. They were both at the Longhorns day, and then Kelvin Banks obviously was there, as in addition to Matthew Golden. Everybody saw the video of Nick Caserio in the back of the end zone watching Matt Golden catch passes and run into the end zone. So who knows? Maybe he would draft Matthew Golden, and I think he'd be a heck of a Texan if they can make that happen. So would Emeka Egbuka, and so would a lot of these players. I think they're in a good position in terms of having already addressed a lot of these spots in free agency. I know that there have been some complaints about, well, they don't, have they gotten better on the offensive line, or is it marginally better? That's fair. We want to see how they look in camp, and I think it's going to be competitive at most of the positions other than left tackle, where I think Cam Robinson, safe to say, he'll be the left tackle. So we're going to see how can they continue to upgrade the offensive line, the wide receiver position, defensive tackle. I think that they've got a plan ahead at D tackle, and I think Kenneth Grant will be a good pick if he's there. I also think later, maybe third round, Alfred Collins from Texas, who's in a boot right now, but expect him to be healthy, soon enough. Definitely by training camp, expect him to be fully healthy. So Texans, lots of draft activity, just like all of the 32 teams. And so we've been tracking that, watching that, looking at a lot of the things that the teams are doing, including the Texans. And they've been as busy as anybody with the pro day circuit, and they were well represented at Ohio State, and they'll be all over these pro days, and they're having Zooms, they're having phone calls, they have the visits, they have the private workouts, and they've got a pretty good draft track record. There's only been a few misses, like the Kenyon Greens of the world, who's since been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, but they've hit on Derek Stingley Jr., C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson Jr., the durability issue, Christian Harris. They got the talent right with him. And, later, players like Henry To'oTo'o, a fifth-round pick that's been a very productive player for where they selected him and has played some good football for the Texans. So Texans will have more and more visits, and we'll be reporting on those. And, what do they mean? Well, it doesn't always mean they're going to draft the guy. It may mean they have some questions about the player, or they just want to get to know them more, see how they see the game, talk football with them, talk to them about their background, get to know more about how they, see film and how much understanding they have of the game. Because it's not just about what happens on the field. It's the film room. It's everything. It's how you are in the community. It's in the locker room. So, as they say, it all matters, and some things matter more than others. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to keep track of, and so I'm on the phone most of the day, talking with people, trying to figure out more about the NFL draft, and watch some tape when I have time of some of the players and get sort of a feel for them myself. I don't pretend to be a super scout. I played football in college and high school, and I've covered football for a long time. So yeah, I usually some of the talent's just very obvious. It jumps off the page, but a theme of speed and offensive line. So you're seeing a lot of running backs, wide receivers, a little bit of linebacker, and plenty of offensive tackles and offensive linemen. And I expect there to be more those type of names coming up in conversations about the Texans as the defending AFC South champions try to take the next step. A really important draft for them. And as I said before, next week, the NFL owners meetings. So conversations ahead with D'Amico Ryans at the AFC Coaches Breakfast Monday morning. So look for videos from me about that. And Cal McNair, we're expected to talk to him on Tuesday after the meetings wrap up. And so we'll see. We talk to Mike Timone, the team president, perhaps. I look forward to meeting him and talking about the stadium and talking about other things involving the Texans in terms of the business side, which is important too. It's not just about only football. That's what all you guys care about. But yeah, there's also the stadium, and there's the whole lease that's expiring in 7 years. So we have a lot of time to work on that, and that's first on the agenda is trying to improve the facilities at NRG Stadium, and I think they'll get something done at some point. and they're going to have new video boards. That's already budgeted for and paid for, so that'll be coming for NRG Stadium in the fall. So yeah, please like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all your support. Love the comments. Try to answer as many of your questions as possible in the comments, so please drop a note, give me your thoughts. And this is absolutely free, this channel, so appreciate you guys subscribing and also watching me on KPRC2 on television and reading my content at www.click2houston.com, and also follow me on Twitter /X at AaronWilson_NFL and Instagram AaronWilson7128. Look forward to our next conversation. Thanks, guys.